Hi Year 2, welcome to Maths this week. We are still sticking with time and we are going to learn about two things this week. We're going to learn about hours and days, and we're going to learn how to find the duration of time. So I'll explain what these bits all mean. Okay, so make sure that you have a pencil and some paper before you start, and make sure you know how to pause me so that you can come back to me at different points you need to. Okay, so first thing is some space learning. Can you remember our learning from last week? We were learning how to read the time in 5-minute intervals. So what time do these clocks show? I'm going to give you some time to shout out the answer. Maybe you still need to count in fives around the clock, especially for this one maybe. And have a think about what these things mean, because these are the two times when we are counting two. Okay, well done. So this one is 10 to 7. There are 10 minutes left until 7 o'clock. So this one is 10 to 7. This one I'm going to double check with my 5 times table. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. This one is 25 past, and the hour hand's gone past 11. So it's 25 past 11. This one, oh, I know this one is one of my 2 times. And how many minutes are left until 5 o'clock? There are 5, 10, 15, 20. There are 20 minutes left till 5 o'clock. So this time is 20 to 5. Hopefully you remembered those from last week and you've been practicing telling the time. Okay, here, oh, I put on a slide with the answers on already. So 10 to 7, 25 past 11 and 20 to 5. Those are our times. Okay, now I'm going to read this bit. I'm going to move me over here. Last week we learned that the clock is split into 12 sections. We also learned that the clock was split into quarters as well when we were doing quarter past and half past and quarter to. So we can split our clock up in lots of different ways. And each time, we learned this already, that each time the minute hand moves around, that's 5 more minutes. So we could use our 5 times table to count around the clock. And that worked really well for when we were doing the past times, 5 past, 10 past, 15 past, 20 past. When we got to this side of the clock for 2, we didn't say 42, we were saying 22 because we were counting backwards, counting how many minutes were left to the next hour. But this time, we're going to read the clock slightly differently, and we are going to say, we're going to use different words to talk about what these bits mean. So we know that the clock goes in 5s, in 5-minute intervals, and the time in the hour, there are 60 minutes in the hour. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sections of 5, and 12 5s are 60. So we know there's 60 minutes in an hour. So instead of saying 25 to, for here where the 7 is, we could say 35 minutes have passed around the hour. So all of that is a little bit confusing. So let's have a look what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about hours and days. So we need to know some facts related to telling the time. So we need to know things like how many minutes are there in an hour, and how many minutes are there in half an hour, and how many, so we need to look at that. So here we can see that 1 hour is 60 minutes. There are 60 minutes in an hour. And these facts help us work out some normal things that we do with time. We know that we've got 60 minutes in an hour. We know that if someone said we had half an hour to watch TV, or half an hour until we needed to be at the train station, we know that that is 30 minutes. So these things are all quite practical things that we need to know so that we can go about our daily lives. So here, we know that quarter of an hour, we know this already, is 15 minutes. And here are some things that I want you to try and work out now. So can you work out how many minutes are in an hour and a half? So if you know, if I go back to my slide here, if you know that an hour is 60 minutes and you know that half an hour is 30 minutes, can you work out how many minutes are in an hour and a half? So maybe you want to pause me here and have a think, or I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to have a think about that one if you can work that out. And the next question here says, how many minutes are in 2 hours? So if you know that 1 hour is 60 minutes, and if you could use some of your number bonds to work out how many minutes are in 2 hours. So again, if you need more time, you can pause me. Okay, so this is what we're going to do now. And then you'll see what I mean about these numbers in a second. So we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour, and we know there are 30 minutes in half an hour. So I could do 60 and 30 in my head. I could put 60 in my head and count on in tens, 10, 20, 30. So 60, 70, 80, 90. Or I could use the clock to help me. Here's my hour. I want to add another half an hour. So I could do 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90. So I could work it out that way if I had a clock in front of me. So there are 90 minutes in an hour and a half. 90 minutes in an hour and a half. Okay, the next question was, how many minutes are there in 2 hours? So I know that there are 60 minutes in an hour. So I know I need to times that by 2, or do 60 add 60. And I know that I could do 6 add 6. 6 add 6 is 12. And it's not 6, it's 60. I've added a 0. So I need to add a 0 to my answer. Or I could do it on the clock. 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110, 115, 120. Okay, so well done so far. I hope this is all making sense because it is a bit strange. Okay, so here are some activities. You do not have to do all of them. You can pick and choose which ones you would like to do. The first one is to make yourself a time fact sheet. So I wonder if you were going to make me a poster, then you can put all of this information on. So how many seconds are there in a minute? That's a bit of a, see if you can work that one out by counting on, or looking at a clock, or looking on your parents' phone. How many minutes are in an hour? That information is on our PowerPoint. How many minutes are there in half an hour? We've worked that one out already. How many minutes are there in 2 hours? So this is all about minutes and seconds. And then the next thing for you to think about, which you did in year 1, and we talk about quite a bit, how many days in a week? Hopefully you know that one. How many days are there in a year? And how many months in a year? So you might want to talk to your grown-ups about that one, or maybe some of you already know, or some of it's over here. And can you make me a big poster? Well, it's for you to make, and then it can go up in your bedroom to help you remember some of those practical things. Okay, the next one is your white rose sheet. I'm going to talk you through that one in a second. And if you would like to answer some more questions, there is one of these. It's called Diving into Mastery. You can have a go at that. Okay, super maths learning, very well done. I have all of this. Hi everyone. When I was looking back at the recording I did of this at home, it had all gone a bit wrong. So I'm recording this one at school. I'm in 2W's classroom at the minute, so it's a bit odd to be in 2W without all of my 2Wers, but there we are. I'm going to record this for you so that you can follow this one along with me at home. I'm going to read all the questions, so make sure that you know how to pause me in between each question if you want to work it out as you go, or you could listen to me explain and then go and have a go yourself. It's up to you. Okay, so hours and days this one is, and question 1 is complete the sentences. You can use the clock to help you. So you've got to look at this clock. It shows you the 5-minute intervals that we were practicing last week. And quite a lot of you have said that that was really tricky. So if you want to carry on practicing that week and you don't want to move on to this just yet, that's absolutely fine. You can carry on practicing your 5-minute intervals at home. If you think, yeah, I've almost got it, and you want to move on, then move on to this sheet. So we need to work out how many minutes there are in 1 hour. So we need to look at this one at the o'clock. We know that that is where our minute hand comes back to once it's gone round the clock. And so there are 60 minutes in an hour. And you've got some other ones to work out. How many minutes in half an hour, how many minutes in a quarter of an hour, and how many minutes in an hour and a half. Now, on the slides that I made and the video that I did before this one, there are lots and lots of prompts to help you work all of these ones out. So I hope that one's okay. Question 2, we are going to complete the table. So this is the time now. That's the box we need to look at first. The time now is 4 o'clock. Now I need to work out 60 minutes earlier. And we know from up here that 60 minutes is the same as an hour. So we could say 60 minutes earlier, or we could say an hour earlier. So an hour earlier than 4 o'clock is 3 o'clock. So that one is there. Then we need to work out 30 minutes later. So we need to count round using our minute hand, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We need to look at where the minute hand's going to be left. So if you've printed this one out, you could draw it on to show you, and then you need to work out what that time says. So that would then be 4:30. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more times to work out, 60 minutes earlier and 30 minutes later. Make sure that you use your 5-minute clock if you made one to help you, or make sure that you maybe you decorated your clock at home to show you, and then you can count round using your 5 times table. So do work it out. Okay, question 3. Annie and her mum take the bus to Gran's house. The bus ride takes 1 hour. What time will Annie and her mum arrive if the bus leaves at 9 o'clock? So remember that it takes an hour. So if they have arrived, what time will Annie and her mum arrive if the bus leaves at 9 o'clock? So 9 o'clock is their start time. Then it's been 1 hour. So what will their end time be of that journey? A bit like when we worked out the questions from before. Annie and her mum get the bus home. They get off the bus at 1:45. What time did they get on the bus? So the bus, remember the ride takes 1 hour. If they get off the bus at 1:45, then they would have had to get on 1 hour earlier. So what would the time be? Okay, when we go to the next slide, which I need to work out how, there we go. This bit is the same, and this bit is the same question from before. So we don't need to do this one again. We just need to move on to question 4. Question 4, Amir went to the cinema. The film started at 2:30 and lasted for 90 minutes. So use the information that you know from here of what 90 minutes actually means in words to help you. And then you can answer the question, what time did the film end? So it started at 2:30, it lasted for 90 minutes. What time did it end? You might want to use clocks to help you do that. You might want to use blank clocks to help you do that. Work that one out. Okay, question 5 is a bar model. Now we have looked at bar models before. It looks a bit like a graph, and you can see here that there are things blocked out, and it tells us the o'clock time for when these things were happening in Dexter's day. So you've got some blank ones. Don't worry, that will be explained. What time did Dexter go to bed? So we need to look at when he went to bed. Now we don't know when he went to bed in the morning because we can't see that bit. So we need to look back here. When did he go to bed? And we need to see where that sleep bar starts. It starts at 8 o'clock. So the answer for A would be 8 o'clock. Then we need to look at what time did Dexter get up. So getting up normally comes after our sleep that happens in the morning. So have a think about when he got up. And also the scale, you need to find the middle number here, which is between 6 and 8. So have a think about what number would go there. What do you think Dexter did between 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning? So some of these are blank, and we need to think about what Dexter might have been doing between 7 and 9 o'clock. Obviously, that's going to be a bit different now that we are in lockdown and you haven't been at school. So have a think about what he could be doing between 7 and 9. What are you doing in the morning between 7 and 9? D, what was Dexter doing at 6 o'clock in the morning? Have a look at the graph, see if you can find 6 o'clock in the morning and see what Dexter was doing. And E, what could Dexter have been doing at 6 o'clock in the evening? So again, think about your day. What happens in your day at 6 o'clock in the evening? Here it says, work with a partner to draw a bar model showing your day. So you could draw out a graph exactly like this and plot on what you are doing to show your day. Okay, I hope that helps. Do remember that if you found telling the time to 5 minutes really, really tricky this week, it is really tricky, and you don't want to move on yet, then you don't need to. You could carry on practicing that and move on to this a bit later, maybe next week. Okay, well done, guys. Hope that helps. Thinking of you all and missing you, and can't wait to see what you get up to this week on Google Classroom. Okay, bye.